This broadcast of the 2026 Alaska State Poetry Out Loud Recitation Competition is supported in part by a grant from the Alaska State Council on the Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts, with additional support from the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council.
Good evening. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that we are gathered here today on the traditional homeland of the Akwon Tlingit people. They have been stewards of this land since time immemorial. We are grateful to live, work, and share art on this land. My name is Maggie McMillan. I am the Executive Director of the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council, and it is my privilege to welcome you here today for Poetry Out Loud. We are gathered here today in Juneau, Alaska's capital city, to showcase these amazing students. They've been working hard, and we cannot wait to see them compete this evening. And with that, I have the honor of introducing my friend and the chair of the Alaska State Council of the Arts, Ben Brown.
Thank you very much, Maggie, and thanks to everyone who's here in person and everyone who's watching online or on broadcast television. As Maggie said, I am the chair of the Alaska State Council on the Arts. We are Alaska's state arts agency. Every state and territory in our great country has a state arts agency, and it's a wonderful thing to be a part of. I was first appointed as vice chair of the council back in 2003. How the time flies. Back then, Poetry Out Loud wasn't even a gleam in the eye of Dana Gioia, who was to become the chairman of the National Endowment for the Arts, but it was something that he really believed in, and he set up the partnership between the NEA and all the state arts agencies, and here we are today, decades later. And it's a wonderful program. I have seen so many fine young students come and do this recitation here. I actually happened to be in our nation's capital when Meva Ordaz won the first time from West High School Nationals, and I know we're due for another national victory, so no pressure, but it's really a wonderful thing. I did poetry declamation when I was at Palmer High School. It wasn't Poetry Out Loud, it was called the Declamation Contest, which doesn't sound anywhere near as fun. But it's really a challenge to learn something that means something to you, explore what the words meant to the poet, and then how you interpret them, and then sharing that with other people. It's a real growth process, and I'm sure you all know that from having gone through it and being distinguished statewide finalists like you are right now. So this is something that is one of the many programs we do with the Alaska State Council on the Arts. It's one of the programs of which I'm most proud. We do many other things. We give grants to arts organizations. We have a contemporary art bank. You can learn more about it if you go to our website, if you Google Alaska State Council on the Arts. But we have a tremendous, small, highly effective staff. I want to recognize Laura Forbes and Tishon Anderson-Johnson, who are here today. And back to what Maggie said and the introductions about the partnerships. We couldn't do this without our friends here at KTOO Public Media, and we couldn't do it without the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council. We are an arts ecosystem in Alaska, so let's just keep collaborating and cooperating, and we'll continue to do great things for all Alaskans. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my friend and fellow actor, Boston Christopher, who will be your master of ceremonies tonight. Good luck to all of you. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Poetry Out Loud 2026. I love it. I am Boston Christopher. I'm here to mispronounce names and also introduce all these students at the same time, hopefully. So let me go over just a little bit of what we're going to do tonight and go over the rules, and then we'll get to the rounds of competition that will be happening tonight. First, I want to acknowledge our judges. We have a whole panel of folks on the back row over there, and we have our judges. They are Marlia Makbiak Labelle. Thank you. We have Phil Hibshin. We have Representative Carolyn Hall. And we also have Andrea Hackbarth. And then we also have, she was just up here. She's not only the executive director of the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council, she's the accuracy judge, Maggie McMillan. And our scorekeepers this evening are Summer Christensen and Tay Anderson Johnson, back over there. Oh my God, it's so exciting. It takes a lot of people to put this thing together, and it's so exciting that they've all come together for this night. So let me go over the rules, because these are very important. You got to have these down. Only currently enrolled students in grade 9 to 12 are eligible, with an exception made for 8th grade students participating in a 9th through 12th grade class. A student may not advance to the state finals without competing in a lower level competition. In recognition of America's 250th anniversary in 2026, this season, the 2025-2026 Poetry Out Loud program will focus on poems that celebrate the rich tapestry of American history and culture. All poems must be selected from the Poetry Out Loud America 250 online anthology. At the state and national finals, students must have 3 poems prepared for recitation. Competitions at the lower levels may have fewer rounds, but students may recite only 1 poem in each round. The order in which the poems are recited is up to the students. Competition organizers may not dictate poem order. Students must be judged according to the Poetry Out Loud evaluation criteria from the 2025-2026 Teacher's Guide. Rankings are based solely on evaluation sheets submitted by judges. Judges should not convene to discuss at all the performances during the competitions. Judges may also not reconsider their scores after they are submitted, and judges' decisions are final. Scoring is cumulative, so the scores from all the rounds should be added together to determine the winner. In the event of a tie, we like ties, that's cool, the tied student with the highest overall performance score should win. If that also results in a tie, we look to the highest accuracy score. If scores remain tied, then we might consider having a runoff. Well, they will pick 1 poem to recite again as a separate score to break the tie. Students must recite their poem from memory, and students may not use props or wear costumes during their recitations. Did we all get that? We got it? Got the rules? All right. So before we begin, we need to take a lot of breaths tonight, only because we're all a little bit nervous. Parents are nervous for their kids. The kids are nervous to recite. The judges are nervous because they don't get to redo their scores, right? So let's all just take a deep breath in. And, oh, that's so nice. Okay. So how it's going to work is going to be 3 rounds of competitions. We're going to do the 2 rounds where all the students will do their poems. And then there'll be an intermission, and we'll take a little quick break so that we can get the finalists, and then we'll come back and have the finalists. So we're also going to hear from a very special keynote speaker a little bit later on, so that's going to be fun. But in addition to the students submitting their biographic information, we also asked them a couple of questions, and we incorporated that into their biographies. And the questions were, if you were a poem, would you be a haiku, a shape poem, epic, sonnet, or free verse poem? If not one of these, what type of poem might you be? Number 2, if you had an opportunity to write 1 poem for the world, what experience, idea, or theme might you write about? Number 3, in recognition of America's 250th anniversary in 2026, the 2025-2026 Poetry Out Loud program will focus on poems that celebrate the rich tapestry of American history and culture. Do you feel 1 or more of your poems to be celebrations in this way? How do you see celebration of the rich tapestry of American history culture in 1 or more of the poems you selected to recite? That's technically 2 questions inside the 3rd question, but it's still a 3rd question. So let's begin with round 1. Yasminka Yakcic is a sophomore at West Anchorage High School and is thrilled to be part of this year's Poetry Out Loud competition. She became very interested in poetry last year during her class poetry unit and competed in her school's Poetry Out Loud competition. Since then, she has enjoyed reading and writing poetry of her own. If Yasminka was a poem, she thinks she would be a free verse poem. She thinks this because she had a hard time following one train of thought and is very loud at times. Yasminka chose to recite many poems connecting to America's roots, but she thinks Militants to Certain Other Women by Catherine Ralston Fisher is the most connected of her three. Yasminka thinks this poem greatly represents America's 250th anniversary because it connects to the nation's historical fight for democracy and unity as a nation. If Yasminka could write a poem for the world, she would write about the scary outcome of social classes and societal norms on kids and young adults. We are much more capable than we think. Yasminka Yakchich of West Anchorage High School.
Militants to Certain Other Women by Catherine Ralston Fisher. You who pass coldly by when the police rush upon us, when they wrench away our banners, beautiful banners whose colors cry a demand for liberty. You who criticize or condemn, declaring you believe in suffrage, works for it in your state, and your mother knew Susan B. Anthony. Can you think in terms of a nation? Could you die or face ridicule for your belief, for the freedom of women, for your freedom we are fighting, for your safety we face danger, bear torture, for your honor endure untellable insult. To win democracy for you, we defend the banners of democracy, till our banners and our bodies are flung together on the pavement, waiting at the gates of government. We have made our weariness a symbol to woman's long wait for justice. We have borne the hunger and hardship of prison, to open people's eyes to men's determination to imprison the power of women. You women who pass coldly by, do you imagine your freedom is coming as a summer wind blows over fields? Slowly, it has advanced by a 60 years war. Those who have fought in it have not forgotten, and that war is not won. Strongly entrenched, the foe sits plotting. Close to his lines, our banners fly, signaling where to direct the fire. Greater forces are needed. Reserves and recruits. Are you for winning or for waiting? Women who watch the banners go down. Women who say, suffrage is coming, while suffrage goes by you into Prussia. Case to be content with applauding speeches and praising politicians. Patience is shameful. Awake, rise, and act. Thank you.
Cassie Lumba has loved poetry for many years. Her favorite book in elementary school was a poetry novel, Forget-Me-Not by Ellie Terry, and she writes her own poetry to share with friends. She's been involved in her school's Poetry Out Loud competition all 4 years of high school, and she hopes to end her senior year having gained more confidence and joy in the poetic realm. If she were a poem, Cassie would be a free verse poem, as she thinks of poetry being a mirror of life, ever-changing, sometimes hectic, but all having great purpose. If she could write a poem for the world, she would write it about human connection, Cassie finds connection being involved in her community, school, extracurriculars, and work environments. Recognizing America's upcoming 250th anniversary, Cassie feels that a couple of her chosen poems reflect American culture by embodying a passion for freedom and peace, both intellectually and physically, all of which apply to the American spirit. She hopes to use that same passion for intellectual growth and community to fuel her goals. Cassie aims to work in healthcare in order to come back to her hometown of Juneau and provide for those around her. Cassie Lumba of Juneau Douglas High School, Yuda'a Kathle.
Under the Harvest Moon by Carl Sandburg. Under the harvest moon, when the soft silver drips shimmering over the garden nights, Death, the gray mocker, comes and whispers to you as a beautiful friend who remembers. Under the summer roses, when the flagrant crimson lurks in the dusk of the wild red leaves, Love, with little hands, comes and touches you with 1,000 memories and asks you beautiful, unanswerable questions. Thank you.
Meta Miller is a junior in high school from Petersburg. She has always enjoyed the Poetry Out Loud program and found it fun to recite poems she connects with. She appreciates her classes, teachers, and friends within her school. Meta loves volleyball, volunteering, basketball, and going on late-night drives. She plans to work this summer after recovering from knee surgery. Meta plans to go to college on the West Coast and study law. If she were a poem, Meta would be a free verse poem because that style fits her philosophy of freedom and being unconstrained. If she had the opportunity to write one poem for the world, she would write about recovering despite grief and loss because it's a universal topic that connects to nearly everyone in our world. She believes that all her poems are connected to celebrating America's diverse and rich history. She sees this celebration as two of her poems exhibit human connection and how the USA is united as one. Her third poem expresses the history of women's suffrage, which she believes is vastly important to remember and understand. Meta's three poems reflect the diverse, complex history of the United States. Meta Miller of Petersburg High School.
Militants to Certain Other Women by Catherine Rolston Fisher. You, who pass coldly by when the police rush upon us, when they wrench away our banners, beautiful banners whose colors cry a demand for liberty. You, who criticize or condemn, declaring you believe in suffrage, worked for it in your state, and your mother knew Susan B. Anthony. Can you think in terms of a nation? Could you die or face ridicule for your belief, for the freedom of women, for your freedom? We are fighting for your safety. We face danger, bear torture. For your honor, endure untellable insult. To win democracy for you, we defend the banners of democracy till our banners and our bodies are flung together on the pavement, waiting at the gates of government. We have made of our weariness a symbol of women's long wait for justice. We have borne the hunger and hardship of prison to open people's eyes to men's determination to imprison the power of women. You women who pass coldly by, do you imagine your freedom is coming as a summer wind blows over fields? Slowly, it has advanced by a 60 years war. Those who have fought it have not forgotten. And that war is not won. Strongly entrenched, the foe sits plotting. Close to his lines, our banners fly, signaling where to direct the fire. Greater forces are needed, reserves and recruits. Are you for winning or for waiting? Women who watch the banners go down, women who say suffrage is coming while suffrage goes by you into Prussia. Case to be content with applauding speeches and praising politicians. Patience is shameful. Awake, rise, and act.
Jocelyn Ottinger is a junior at Tenalian School in Port Allsworth. This is her first year of participating in Poetry Out Loud. She enjoys reading books and making delicious food. Feeding others so that they can stay warm in the winter is one of her love languages. This school year, she played high school mixed six volleyball, and her team took first in the state. She is also a member of the Tenalian girls basketball team. In addition, she works in the school's kitchen as the assistant cook. She has volunteered her past 2 summers at Tenalian Bible Camp with the kitchen crew. After high school, she plans to attend culinary school and get her bachelor's degree. If she was a poem, Jocelyn would be a shape poem in the shape of a dragon, because dragons protect what is theirs. Also, the fire breathing is awesome. If she had the opportunity to write a poem for the world, Jocelyn would probably write about appreciating what you have. Often, individuals are so greedy for more that they don't realize how much they truly do have. You often don't realize how much you like or love something until it's gone. Some of the happiest people are those who have nothing. Jocelyn Ottinger of Tenalian School in Port Allsworth.
To a Hummingbird by Alexander Posey. Now here, now there, ere pose somewhere in sensuous air. I only hear, I cannot see, the matchless winds that beareth thee. Art thou some frenzied poet's thought that God embodied and forgot? Thank you.
Freya Tucker is a senior this year and loves to dance, sing, play volleyball, and of course, recite poetry. She has always grown up valuing the arts through visual arts like drawing, painting, and ceramics, as well as performing arts like dance and poetry. This is her first year participating in Poetry Out Loud, and she is honored to be a state participant. She has traveled all over Alaska for sports, but never attended a composition surrounding the arts. After getting certified as a nursing assistant in her junior year, Freya worked at Petersburg Hospital long-term care and hopes that she can continue to serve others within her career. In the fall of 2026, Freya will be attending Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff to study dental hygiene. She's excited for the future because it means more freedom and individuality. However, she will truly miss her hometown community. Freya says, "I would be a free verse poem because it is the only one that doesn't conform into a specific group. I do love sonnets simply because they flow well due to the rhyming of every other line. I think free verse most specifically applies to my life because I always value my freedom and individuality over anything else." She would most likely write about the fear of the unknown. However, as a society, we don't challenge ourselves enough, and we don't lean into the possibilities of the unknown because it can be scary. But it is essential for personal growth and creating curiosity. In relation to the way her poem selections celebrate the rich tapestry of American history and culture, she shared, "The author of my poem, Suppose, by Phoebe Cary, was a prominent 19th century American poet. Her poem emphasizes positive thinking over complaining. The poem reflects practical 19th century moral ideals. I think, in a way, it could be a celebration of the opportunities we have in the nation and using those opportunities to see positive outcomes. It could also symbolize a deep historical connection to what we've always had." Freya Tucker of Petersburg High School.
Suppose, by Phoebe Cary. Suppose, my little lady, your doll should break her head. Could you make it whole by crying until your eyes and nose are red? Wouldn't it be pleasanter to treat it as a joke and say you're glad 'twas Dolly's and not your head that broke? Suppose you're dressed for walking and the rain comes pouring down. Will it clear off any sooner because you scold and frown? And wouldn't it be nicer for you to smile than pout, and so make sunshine in the house when there is none without? Suppose your task, my little man, is very hard to get. Will it make it any easier for you to sit and fret? Wouldn't it be wiser than waiting like a dunce to go to work in earnest and learn the thing at once? Suppose that some boys have a horse, and some a coach and pair. Will it tire you less while walking to say, it isn't fair? And wouldn't it be nobler to keep your temper sweet, and in your heart be thankful you can walk upon your feet? And suppose the world don't please you, nor the way some people do. Do you think the whole creation will be altered just for you? And isn't it, my boy or girl, the wisest, bravest plan, whatever comes or doesn't come, to do the best you can?
Kiri Tuttle is a 9th grader through IDEA homeschool. She's also the youngest of 8 kids. While she doesn't have a lot of experience with poetry or poetry out loud, she always felt a strong connection to the lyrics in songs, which are very similar to poems. Her extracurricular interests are theater, singing, line and swing dancing, and video games. Kiri's long-term dream in life is to be on Broadway, but her short-term goals for the next couple of years are getting her driver's license when she turns 16 and getting a job. Reality first, I guess. If Kiri were a poem, she would be a haiku because she loves nature and the beauty that it brings to the world, as well as the consistency and cadence of the 5-7-5 syllable rule of a haiku poem. If given the opportunity to write a poem for the world, she would write about childhood cancer to honor her older sister's battle from 2018 to 2020 that she won. She finds that all three of her poems represent the hope that America gives people. Kiri Tuttle of IDEA Homeschool in Anchorage.
That Blessed Hope by Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. Oh, touch it not, that hope so blessed, which cheers the fainting heart, and points it to the coming rest where sorrow has no part. Tear from heart each worldly prop, unbind each earthly string, but to this blessed and glorious hope, oh, let my spirit cling. It cheered amid the days of old each holy patriarch's breast. It was an anchor to their souls. Upon it let me rest. When wandering in the dens and caves, in goat and sheepskins dressed, appealed and scattered people learned to know this hope was blessed. Help me to love this blessed hope. My heart's a fragile thing. Will you not nerve and bear it up around this hope to cling? Help amid this world of strife to long for Christ to reign, that when he brings the crown of life, I may that crown obtain. Thank you.
Robert Wilson was born in Anchorage, Alaska. Although he was not fascinated with poetry through elementary school, he fostered a certain love for music. Robert loved to sing, as well as play the piano and the tuba. This experience taught Robert how he could use art to express himself. As Robert went through his middle school years, he was introduced to poetry through the poems The Cremation of Sam McGee by Robert W. Service and The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. He found that the rhythm and pulse he experienced by playing musical instruments could be reflected in poetry. As Robert went into his freshman year of high school, he heard of a poetry competition called Poetry Out Loud. As he watched the school-wide competition, he was intrigued by the way the poems were recited. He decided in the following year that, sure, I'll take a stab at it. After all, Robert loved to present, like when he performed at the Homer Jubilee. After graduating from high school, Robert plans on serving a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, after which he would attend Utah State University. Robert wrote, "If I were to be a poem, I would be a free verse poem. This is because my life is in chapters, which vary significantly from year to year. Free verse allows diverse poetic devices that best describe me. If I had one opportunity to write a poem for the world, the experience that I might write about would be that of my parents teaching me the importance of responsibility. Responsibility is one of the most significant lessons that I have learned through them." When asked how his poem selections celebrate the rich tapestry of American history and culture, Robert describes how he believes The Conqueror Worm by Edgar Allan Poe responds to that question. He says, "I see the celebration through the poem's expression of a continuous metaphor revealed at the end of the poem, with humanity being in a constant struggle between life and death. This theme relates with American history because the birth of our country was hard fought. Men and women took chances to gain freedom, even though the consequences were dire." Robert Wilson of Homer High School.
A Far Country by Leslie Pinckney Hill. Beyond the cities I have seen, beyond the rack and din, there is a wide and fair domain where I have never been. away from desert wastes of greed, over the peaks of pride, across the seas of mortal need, its citizens abide. And through the distance, though I see how stern must be the fare, my feet are ever fain to be upon the journey there. In that far land, the only school the dwellers all attend is built upon the golden rule, and man to man is friend. No war is there, nor war's distress, but truth and love increase. It is a realm of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. Thank you.
Grace Yang is currently a freshman at West Anchorage High School. She has challenged herself academically and earned recognition at the state level in math counts and debate, strengthening her focus and composure. At the same time, she has found a different kind of challenge in poetry, one that asks her not only to understand a text, but bring it to life. Grace began Poetry Out Loud as part of a required English assignment, but the experience quickly grew into something more meaningful as she discovered the power of voice and presence on stage. Through the program, she has discovered how performances can transform a poem from words on a page into something immediate and powerful. Preparing her recitations has strengthened her confidence and deepened her understanding of how language shapes meaning. Outside of school, Grace plays tennis and piano and enjoys spending time outdoors. Whether she is competing, performing, or studying, she is motivated by growth and the challenge of improving each day. She hopes to continue pursuing academic and creative opportunities that allow her to think critically, communicate clearly, and push beyond her comfort zone. She says, "I would be a poem that ends stronger than it begins. I believe in earning conviction, in allowing room for thought, challenge, and refinement before arriving at something firm. I'm drawn to growth that is deliberate, and a powerful ending to me means the journey mattered." She also told us, "I would write a poem about the power of believing in yourself, especially in moments when the outcome is uncertain. I've learned that confidence rarely arrives fully formed, but rather it grows from small decisions to keep practicing, to keep trying, to stay composed under pressure. Self-belief is quiet, but one of the most powerful forces we have, and it can completely alter what we believe is possible, and therefore what becomes possible." Grace described celebration in her poem selections by sharing that, though the celebration in my selections is thoughtful rather than simplistic, it is still present. In Let the Light Enter, Frances Ellen Watkins Harper speaks to a distinctly American tension, struggle and hope existing at the same time. This is deeply rooted in American history, in the voices of those who have demanded education, opportunity, and dignity even when denied them. These poems celebrate the richness of American history and culture, not by ignoring struggle, but by engaging with it, intellectually, emotionally, and morally. They show a nation shaped by ambition and reflection. Grace Yang of West Anchorage High School.
Fire and Ice by Robert Frost. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say in ice. From what I've tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it were to perish twice,
I think I know enough of hate to know that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. Thank you.
Lumi Furman is a junior in high school from Juneau, Alaska. This will be her 3rd year attending Poetry Out Loud as a representative for her school, and she is looking forward to what it holds. In her free time, she enjoys hiking, running, and working on cars. She hopes that in the future she can study medicine, although she is not exactly sure which career she would like yet. If she were a poem, Lumi would be a free verse because you can say anything without it having to be perfect and uniform. To her, free verses are like spitting out all the words you like to say, and they just make sense. If she could write one poem for the world, it would be about breaking barriers and redefining social norms. She feels as though the history of America can be seen in 2, if not all, of her poems. She chose poems from early 1900s women's suffrage movements and believes that they celebrate the remarkable achievements made by women through our history. Lumi believes the achievements made by these women before her may be seen today and are evident in her having the privilege to come recite today. Lumi Furman of Juneau Douglas High School, Yada Akafle.
Thoughts in Jail by Catherine Rolston Fisher. Prisoners are we, American citizens imprisoned for daring in the name of democracy to protest against the continued denial of the right of self-government to 20 millions of the American people. We lie in a dungeon, long ago abandoned and condemned, just as politically we are held, imprisoned in a subjection. Abandoned and condemned by every other nation of English speech and spirit. Painfully raising my head, I look down the long row of gray blanketed heaps. Under every heap, a woman, weak, sick, but determined. 20 gray fortresses of determination. Thank you.
And that, folks, is round 1. Let's give them all a hand. You know, just a little BTS, behind the scenes. A lot of times the stuff I'm reading is so that the judges can calculate their scores and then pass the sheets down and do all that stuff. And then I'm waiting for a hand from Summer to like show me that we're ready to move on to the next thing. But I have to say that those bios and the questions that they answer, the bios are written by the students, and then the questions they answer are also written and they're folded into the end of that bio. And I have to say that those are my favorite things that I get to read is those bios because they're coming from the youth. And I don't know, it just moves me. It moves me to tears sometimes when that happens. So I'm looking forward to this next round. I got the sign from Summer back there, so I think we can go. So there are many Alaskans who get involved with Poetry Out Loud each year, without whose shared time and effort this program wouldn't be possible. Students, families, teachers, school administrators, librarians, they are program supporters, leaders, and liaisons within the state program. Poetry Out Loud panelists at the school and regional level help students advance through the Alaska State Poetry Out Loud program. And this evening, we have 5 panelists who are scoring the students' recitations. We'll learn a little bit more about those panelists through the second round of recitation when I read the adult bios and compare them to the student bios, okay? And we thank you for taking on this task. A big round for our judges back there. After that first round, they don't have it easy. They do not have it easy. We also have scorekeepers, prompters, and the amazing team at the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council, which have been managing this program with the Alaska State Council on the Arts almost since its inception. The Juneau Arts and Humanities Council also makes it possible for us to all come together in the capital city. In the room and behind the scenes, there's an excellent team of public media professionals here at KTOO. The partnership between Alaska Poetry Out Loud and KTOO creates access to Poetry Out Loud for Alaskans across our state through the live stream and the rebroadcast, as well as being live on KTOO 360 TV tonight. The state finalists also have had the opportunity to visit with the staff at the Alaska State Libraries, Archives, Museums in Juneau today, and we extend our gratitude to the team of dedicated individuals who steward important resources for the people of Alaska. All these individuals and partners have worked on Poetry Out Loud this year, and we are so grateful for all the energy and generosity of spirit that keeps this program going. Let's go to round 2. Yasmika Yakchich from West Anchorage High School.
The Paradox by Paul Laurence Dunbar. I am the mother of sorrows. I am the ender of grief. I am the bud and the blossom. I am the late falling leaf. I am thy priest and thy poet. I am thy serf and thy king. I cure the tears of the heartsick. When I come near, they shall sing. White are my hands as the snowdrop. Swart are my fingers as clay. Dark is my frown as the midnight. Fair is my brow as the day. Battle and war are my minions, doing my will as divine. I am the calmer of passions. Peace is a nursling of mine. Speak to me gently or curse me, seek me or fly from my sight. I am thy fool in the morning, thou art my slave in the night. Down to the grave will I take thee, out from the noise of the strife. Then shalt thou see me and know me, death, then no longer, but life. Then shalt thou sing at my coming, kiss me with passionate breath, clasp me and smile to have thought me, aught save the foeman of death. Come to me, brother, when weary. Come when thy lonely heart swells. I'll guide thy footsteps and lead thee down where the dream woman dwells. Thank you.
Alaska State Poetry Out Loud includes 4 evaluation judges and a single accuracy judge in our panel. At the classroom level of competition, the teacher may be the evaluation judge with a school colleague as accuracy judge. School and regional competitions may include school staff or community members as panelists. The role of the evaluation judge is to score against the Poetry Out Loud evaluation criteria, which include physical presence, voice and articulation, interpretation, evidence of understanding, and overall performance. Poetry Out Loud competition differs from slam poetry, as the students recite the text of other poets' works, rather than poetry which they authored. This means the accuracy of the recitations is very important. And so a specific judge is focused on the competitor's accuracy, and then the accuracy score is added to each evaluation judge's score. Tonight, Maggie McMillan is our accuracy judge. Maggie McMillan is the executive director of the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council. She spent her career in community leadership and nonprofit management, bringing people together through events and creative initiatives in Juneau. While earning her degree in hospitality management from Northern Arizona University, she took so many poetry writing classes that she accidentally walked out with an English minor. Those detours fueled her love of the arts, and today she is proud to support programs like Poetry Out Loud. If Maggie were a poem, she'd be a free verse, a little unexpected, filled with rhythm, and always celebrating the connections between people. Cassie Lumba of Juneau Douglas High School, Yada Akathle.
Longings by Nellie Rathbone Bright. I want to slay all the things, just things that they tell me I must do. I would drown them all in the tears I weep when each breathless day is through. I want to flee to a cool sand dune on a windswept beach where the humming tune of the wind and the waves and the heart of me drams in my ears, and my lips are wet with the tang of the sea. I want to feel the rain on my cheek, the thrill that comes from a lark's long note. I want to see the sky at dawn through the lacy green of a willow tree. I want to look deep in a pool at night and see the stars flash flame like the fire in black opals. Thank you.
Tonight, we have 4 Alaskan individuals who are serving as our evaluation judges. We'll hear about a little bit of them now. Marlia Makpiak Labelle is an aspiring screenplay writer. She is of Sugpiaq, Inupiaq, Dena'ina, and Filipina descent, and is a tribal member of the native village of Port Graham. In Inupiaq, Makpiak means to turn pages, and she was named after her paternal grandmother, Clara Makpiak Labelle. Makpiak was raised between the urban landscape in Anchorage, Alaska, and her mom's village, Port Graham. Port Graham is a small Sugpiaq village located in the southern tip of the Kenai Peninsula and is full of rich storytelling. In high school and college, she acted in a handful of theater productions and became aware of the lack of accessible Native stories. As a project manager of the Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium, she worked with tribes throughout Alaska on community water-related issues by engaging through cultural values, art, and theater. Marlia is currently a small business owner who finds time to pursue her true passions: screenplay writing and stand-up comedy. Most recently, she served as a consultant for the animated show The Great North and has performed stand-up at open mics in Anchorage, Las Vegas, and Los Angeles. She has a master's degree from the University of Alaska Fairbanks in rural development and a Bachelor of Business Administration with a minor in liberal arts from Alaska Pacific University. Marlia is a recent alumnus of the Native American Media Alliance Native Writers Seminar, Story Knife Writers Retreat, Art Equity's BIPOC Leadership Circle, and is a current recipient of the Alaska Literary Award. If she were to be a poem, she says, I would be an epic poem, told only next to a campfire on a beach on a beautiful summer evening, and that, as a person of indigenous descent, I would write a poem about my love for the land of my ancestors. Meta Miller of Petersburg High School.
The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus. Not like the brazen giants of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here, at our sea-washed sunset gates, shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Thank you.
Representative Carolyn Hall was elected to the Alaska State House of Representatives in 2024, and she serves the Anchorage neighborhoods of Turnagain, Spenard, and Sand Lake. Yes. Sand Lake, woo! Carolyn comes from a family where the value of public service was instilled early on. Her father taught in public schools for over 30 years, and her mother's dedicated service on the local school board for 12 years profoundly influenced her passion for education. Carolyn moved to Alaska in 2008 and quickly fell in love with its people, culture, and unparalleled natural beauty. Prior to being elected to office, Carolyn worked as an award-winning television news photojournalist, served in various government communications positions, started a successful business, and proudly earned her master's degree in public administration from UAA. Carolyn's public service portfolio includes serving as Municipality of Anchorage Communications Director, Office of the Governor Communications Manager, and Anchorage's Municipal Clerk's Office Education and Outreach Manager. Prior to taking office, Carolyn served in various board positions on the Turnagain Community Council before serving as treasurer of the Federation of Community Councils. Additionally, she served on the Anchorage Budget Advisory Commission and the Anchorage's Women's Commission. She continues to volunteer her time at the Food Bank of Alaska at the Jewel Lake Mobile Food Pantry. Jocelyn Ottinger of Tenalian School in Port Allsworth.
The House on the Hill by Edwin Arlington Robinson. They are all gone away. The house is shut and still. There's nothing more to say. Through broken walls and gray, the winds blow bleak and shrill. They are all gone away. Nor is there one today to speak them good or ill. There's nothing more to say. Why is it then we stray around the sunken sill? They are all gone away. And our poor fancy play, for them is wasted skill. There's nothing more to say. There is ruin and decay in the house on the hill. They are all gone away. There's nothing more to say.
Andrea Hackbarth, our third evaluation judge, wears many hats, including writer, editor, parent, piano teacher, dancer, coach, musician, and of course, poet. In her own writing, she aims to explore the boundaries between literary and artistic genres with work that is rooted in a poetic background and respects traditional structures while also incorporating elements of the essay, flash fiction, and even visual arts. She holds a BA in English from Lawrence University and an MFA in creative writing and literary arts from the University of Alaska, Anchorage, where she was awarded the Jason Wenger Award for Excellence in Creative Writing. She also received the 2025 Alaska Literary Award from the Alaska Arts and Culture Foundation, as well as individual artist awards from the Rasmussen Foundation in 2022 and 2026. Her hybrid prose poem chapbook, Waveforms, a short course in piano tuning, Harbor Editions 2025, draws inspiration from her work as a piano technician to explore ideas of sound as physical phenomenon and metaphor. Her poetry has also appeared in Prairie Schooner, American Literary Review, Yes Poetry, and other print and online journals. Though originally from Minnesota, she has called Alaska home since 2011 and currently resides with her 10-year-old son and a small menagerie of pets in Palmer, where she also serves as a board member of the Palmer Arts Council, leading monthly literary salons and open mic events. If she were a poem, she would probably be, and I'm going to butcher this probably, a sestina? Close? Okay, a sestina, strangely sprawling and circular, oftentimes convoluted and hard to parse, but with a coherence and logical structure that's easily revealed to those willing to take the time to look. Imagining that the sestina self were the one poem she could share with the world, it would probably contain something about memory and time, a few thoughts about planetary orbits, and just a little bit of birdsong. Freya Tucker of Petersburg High School.
To a Young Dancing Girl by Elsa Gidlow. Golden-eyed girl, do you see what I see? Do you see behind the veil that life laughs through? Golden-eyed girl, I would like to laugh with you, but my veil is torn, and I see things pass like shadows in the depths of a crystal glass. Golden-eyed girl, you are young as springtime. Your great eyes are dreamful, your rare lips sweet. Shadows matter little to youth with dancing feet. All of life's skeletons wear gay dresses, and youth is deceived by even death's caresses. Golden-eyed girl, you have years to dance and wonder before your life's curtain will wear into holes and let you see the hopelessness hidden in souls. You have many moons of laughter, many years to go before you'll learn how heavy dancing feet can grow.
And rounding out the Poetry Out Loud panel for tonight, evaluation judge Phil Hibshin, who told me, oh, they made me send in a bio, but you could just make something up. But I don't think he wants me to do that. He's a Juneau-based artist with a background spanning nonprofit leadership, cultural programming, and public communications. He currently works for the City and Borough of Juneau in their newly created Communications and Engagement Department, where he helps connect residents with local government initiatives. Born and raised in Juneau, Phil has been involved in the arts from a young age. His practice has historically been rooted in two-dimensional mediums, but in recent years has shifted toward wheel-thrown ceramics, exploring form, function, and putting smiley faces on most things he makes. Before joining the city, Phil built a career in Juneau's nonprofit and cultural sectors, leading community initiatives and developing programming that reflected the richness and diversity of Southeast Alaska's artistic community. His communication work has been guided by a belief that thoughtful storytelling can build bridges between institutions and the people they serve. In his current role, Phil is focused on engaging Juneau residents and creating greater awareness of and involvement in municipal initiatives, projects, and civic life. This is his third year involved in Poetry Out Loud, making you a junior this year. And he's excited to hear what the finalists have prepared. The next finalist, Kiri Tuttle of IDEA Homeschool in Anchorage.
With the Lark by Paul Laurence Dunbar. Night is for sorrow, and dawn is for joy, chasing the troubles that fret and annoy. Darkness for sighing, and daylight for song, cheery and chaste the strain, heartfelt and strong. All the night through, though I moan in the dark, I wake in the morning to sing with the lark. Deep in the midnight, the rain whips the leaves. Softly and sadly, the wood spirit grieves. But when the first hue of dawn tints the sky, I shall shake out my wings like the birds and be dry. And though, like the raindrops, I grieved through the dark, I shall wake in the morning to sing with the lark. On the high hills of heaven, some morning to be, where the rain shall not grieve through the leaves of the tree. There, my heart will be glad for the pain I have known, for my hand will be clasped in the hand of mine own. And though life has been hard and death's pathway been dark, I shall wake in the morning to sing with the lark. Thank you.
Tonight, there are two individuals working together to keep the scores for this competition. Summer Christensen and Tay Anderson Johnson have been involved with the partnership team for Alaska Poetry Out Loud since the beginning of this cycle. Along with their role as scorekeepers here tonight, they have been working behind the scenes for months to make this program available to students, teachers, and schools. They have been managing the logistics and the travel for the competition, coordinating with other team members at the Alaska State Council on the Arts, the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council, and all the other partners involved. And we're especially grateful for their leadership and contributions to Alaska State Poetry Out Loud. Summer A.H. Christensen is a writer, educator, and lifelong Alaskan, now living in British Columbia. Her work has been published in Bell Anthologies, Silver Rose Magazine, Tidal Echoes, Alaska Women Speak, and Drizzle Review. She is a graduate of the Rainier Writing Workshops at the Pacific Lutheran University and holds an MFA in creative writing, nonfiction. She has been in education for the past decade and specializes in secondary English. She currently serves as the education director at the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council. If she was a poem, she would be a lyrical free verse, strong in voice and breaking form. Tay Anderson Johnson is the administrative officer at the Alaska State Council on the Arts and a proud Anchorage native. She earned her Bachelor of Arts in Administration and Business Management with a minor in dance from the University of Alaska Anchorage in 2021, blending her love of organization with her passion for creative expression. During college, Tay launched and led TMAJ, Freelance Dance Studio, sharing her energy as a dance instructor and choreographer. She later supported Alaska communities through her work with the State of Alaska Public Health Lab during the COVID-19 pandemic, and the Department of Transportation, where she managed budgets for support services, construction, and design. Outside of the office, you can find Tay teaching hip-hop and other dance styles, celebrating the joy, rhythm, and connection that movement brings. If she were a poem, she would be a sonnet, grounded in structure, flowing with heart, and always moving to a vibrant beat. Robert Wilson of Homer High School.
A Country Boy in Winter by Sarah Orne Jewett. The wind may blow the snow about, for all I care, says Jack. And I don't mind how cold it grows, for then the ice won't crack. Old folks may shiver all day long, but I shall never freeze. What cares a jolly boy like me for winter days like these? Far down the long snow-covered hills, it is such fun to coast. So clear the road, the fastest sled there is in school, I boast. The paint is pretty well worn off, but then I take the lead. A dandy sled's a loiterer, and I go in for speed. When I go home at supper time, but my cheeks are red. They burn and sting like anything. I'm cross until I'm fed. You ought to see the biscuit go. I am so hungry then. And old Aunt Polly says that boys eat twice as much as men. There's always something I can do to pass the time away. The dark comes quick in winter time, a short and stormy day. And when I give my mind to it, it's just as Father says. I almost do a man's work now and help him many ways. I shall be glad when I grow up and get all through with school. I'll show them by and by that I was not meant for a fool. I'll take the crops off this old farm. I'll do the best I can. A jolly boy like me won't be a dolt when he's a man. I like to hear the old horse neigh just as I come in sight. The oxen poke me with their horns to get their hay at night. Somehow the creatures seem like friends and like to see me come. Some fellows talk about New York, but I shall stay at home. Thank you.
Another group of individuals we must recognize as key to the Alaska Poetry Out Loud program are the 5 mentor coaches who have been working with the state finalists following the regional competitions. Nami, Trip J. Krause, Flordelino Lagandino, Connor Lendrum, and Christina Apathy. Give them a round of applause, please. I know all of those people, and they're awesome. They all worked with state finalists to support them through the State Poetry Out Loud competition. Prior to spending most of the day together on Sunday, the state finalists and their mentors connected online and in person for coaching and support. This means that since becoming state finalists, these young people have had the mentorship and support of their teacher or other Poetry Out Loud school liaisons at home. They also have had mentorship and support from this team of state coaches. We acknowledge these mentors for all the ways you have supported this experience for the state finalists and the ways you have helped them build their strong voices. Thank you to this group of local poets, writers, performers, and educators. Again, it's Nami, Trip J. Krause, Flordelino Lagandino, Connor Lendrum, and Christina Apathy. We also want to acknowledge and thank those individuals who have been with the students from the start of Alaska Poetry Out Loud this cycle and who have been coordinators, coaches, cheerleaders, and who have made it possible for their students to be in this studio tonight. Poetry Out Loud liaisons register their schools and students for Poetry Out Loud each year, manage school competitions, and coordinate with other teachers involved, communicate with the Alaska Poetry Out Loud partners, and generally advocate for their students. Thank you to all the teachers and supporters of the Alaska State finalists for 2026, and especially to their Poetry Out Loud liaisons, Suzanne Bishop of Homer, Matt Grossman of Port Allsworth, Tim Shumway of Petersburg, Angela Noon of Juneau, Stephanie Forrester, and Adam McKay of Anchorage. Give them all a round of applause. Grace Yang of West Anchorage High School.
A Dream Within a Dream by Edgar Allan Poe. Take this kiss upon the brow, and in parting from you now, thus much let me avow. You are not wrong, who deem that my days have been a dream. Yet, if hope has flown away in a night or in a day, in a vision or in none, is it therefore the less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. How few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep, while I weep, while I weep. Oh God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? Oh God, can I not save one from the pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? Thank you.
Okay, so we have one more contestant in this second round. What happens after that? Well, we'll take a short break. At that time, Tay and Summer will double check that all the scores have been entered correctly into the score sheet and confirm the tabulations with the rest of our panel. This process will indicate which of these excellent competitors will advance to the third round of competition. While only some of the state finalists will be scored in the third round of recitation, all have prepared 3 poems, and we look forward to hearing all the recitations from the 9 state finalists in the third round. After the announcement of the students who will advance to the third round of scorers, continuing in their pursuit of the title of Alaska State Poetry Out Loud Champion for 2026, we are fortunate to have a very special guest joining us. Vera Starbard, the Alaska State Writer Laureate, will take the stage for some remarks. After that, we'll all take another deep breath together, and then we'll proceed with our third round. At the end of the third round of recitation, we'll be ready to announce the Alaska State champion and runner-up for 2026. Lumi Furman of Juneau Douglas High School, Yada Akathle.
An Apology by Julia Ward Howe. For a warm word spoken, I spake, perhaps too sharp a word for one bred up in modesty, but base injustice, trivial scorn on honor heaped had angered me. The smile of courtesy forsook these lips, so timid even for good, while o'er the paleness of my brow flashed crimson, the indignant blood. Nor could I to the contest bring the trained weapon of the mind, snatching from reason's armory such shafts as grief had left behind. Grief for the faltering of the age, grief for my country and my race, grief to sit here with Christian men that boast their want of Christian grace. I say not that the man I praise by that poor tribute stands more high. I say not that the man I blame be not of purer worth than I. But when I move reluctant lips for holy justice, human right, the sacred cause I strive to plead lends me its favor and its might. And I must argue from the faith which gave the fervor of my youth, or keep such silence as yon stars that only look and live God's truth.
Excellent. Okay, before we take a short break, there's just one more person that I want to make sure that we thank. She never puts her bio in the script. She always gives credit to everyone else, but she does an amazing job on this program and has for years. Can we give a round of applause to Laura Forbes from the Alaska State Council on the Arts? Okay, we'll take a short break and then we'll find out who the finalists are. And we are back. Welcome back to Poetry Out Loud for the state of Alaska for 2026. This is how the final round will work. I'm going to read the names of the finalists in the secret envelope right here. And then we're going to have a special chat from a wonderful person named Vera Starbard. She'll come up in just here in a minute. But I guess we need to find out. I feel like I'm on the Oscars or something. Okay, let's see who the finalists are. Okay, in order of recitation and based on the cumulative scores across the first two rounds of competition, the competitors who advanced to the third round of recitation for scores are Yasminka Yakchich, Cassie Lumba, and our third and final finalist, Lumi Furman. Congratulations to you and to all the competitors so far. Now, I just remember we're going to hear Vera, then we'll hear the three finalists, and then we'll also hear the rest of the students' third poems as well while the judges deliberate and we come up with a runner-up and a champion for this year's Poetry Out Loud. So let me introduce our wonderful guest speaker tonight. Vera Starbard Setkwe is Tlingit and Dena'ina and was appointed to be the State Writer Laureate in 2024. She is a 4-time Emmy nominee as a writer and story editor for the PBS Kids Children's program Molly of Denali, one of my favorite shows. I love that show. Vera was playwright in residence at Perseverance Theater through the Andrew W. Mellon National Playwright Residency Program for 6 years and editor of First Alaska magazines for over a decade. In 2022-2023, she was staffed as a writer on the ABC show Alaska Daily, and she wrote the finale of that show, and is currently working on projects as varied as a stage opera, children's literature, and live-action television. She has a middle grade adventure novel coming out through Scholastic this fall. Vera has numerous individual, local, statewide, and national writing and editing awards, including the Erasmussen Foundation Individual Artist Award, Alaska Literary Award, and the Governor's Award for Arts and Humanities. Vera lives with her husband, Joe Bedard, who is Inupiaq, Yupik, and Cree on Douglas Island. And She's also a very, very dear friend of mine. Vera Starbard, everybody.
Goodness, sheesh. I had to rewrite it once I was hearing all of you lovely poets. There's a lot of extra notes now. Goodness, sheesh. I'm Vera Starbard, Sekwai Khatduasak, Shanadi Khatsati, Dr. Tanyadi. I'm Vera Starbard, a Tlingit and Dena'ina writer. We're recovering from some kind of throat something, so there might be a situation. I was born on Prince of Wales Island, but I grew up all over Alaska. I moved 16 times by the time I was 16. I graduated from East Anchorage High School. Was hoping there'd be a rep here, but I'll just T-bird it up on my own. In high school, writing was already my entire identity. That's who I was, that's what I did. I was editor of the school newspaper. I wrote short stories. I wrote really bad poetry. I was planning my career as a novelist even back then. When I run into people from high school and I tell them what I'm doing, they're like, yep, that's what we thought you were gonna do. And I'm doing it. And now just a few years later, I get to do some pretty exciting things as a writer. I just got back from the Emmys, where I stalked Bill Nye. I tried to talk to Miss Rachel, but she was really fast. I've been able to work with Hilary Swank, write for an ABC program. I regularly work with a Disney princess. My first side note. That's a really awkward, braggy kind of paragraph to say if I didn't very purposely decide I wanted to say that to you specifically, high school students of Alaska, because I did not know that was a possibility in high school. I was picking my career as a novelist because that's what I knew I could be. This wasn't an option because I didn't know any. I hope you know that while Alaskans sort of tend to think of themselves as like small fish, small pond, or sometimes big fish, small pond, the whole world belongs to you, and I hope you take advantage of it. That just justifies my little brag. What's more to me through my writing, I've been able to have the privilege of working with senators and congressmen and mayors and governors, and in some cases they've publicly had to react to what I've been saying. I've been pointing out social issues to organizations, to great social organizations, having my writing used for awareness and in the support of social causes. What is truly humbling and in most cases pretty scary, I am writing and speaking on behalf of Alaskans, especially now as the laureate. Speaking on behalf of Alaskans who don't feel they have a voice or whose voice has been stolen. That has been my greatest honor as a writer and something I take very, very seriously in everything I do. Here's what's really the not so secret thing about every single job and position I've been chosen for. I'm almost never the best possible writer that they're choosing. I'm not always the most talented one that has been selected for that role. I don't mean I'm a bad writer. I have a pretty good gauge of where I am. I was an editor for decades. I know my own worth, one would say, but I also know that sometimes I'm just not the most talented writer on the setup. Every once in a very long while, I will stumble on something great. And those are beautiful moments as a writer. Talent is talent, and I couldn't do much with that alone. This sounds kind of boring, but every single one of those jobs I got was because I was collaborating with someone else on some unrelated project. I got my first TV job because I worked with 3 different people on 3 other jobs that had nothing to do with TV, and they liked how I worked and got stuff in on time and was professional. I was asked to be a salaried playwright after one play that I wrote because I said the thing nobody else wanted to say. I volunteered to work where many couldn't work, and I had the privilege of being able to work there. If you trace my very unlikely career to its foundation, it comes down to I volunteered to do some weird stuff that sounded kind of fun, and I did my best with it. Sometimes I was a little extra with it. I'm always a certified nerd. So with all of those, the things I cared about, missing and murdered Indigenous women, childhood sexual abuse, journalism, the importance of arts, children's safety, education, reading, those worked their way into every single job I did. These positions, everything I cared about, came with me. Sometimes through a fiction story you mull over, sometimes in a speech to a governor, but the responsibility of what I fight for with the pen is never lost on me, even when I'm writing about animated cats driving a helicopter. Very serious social issues we did with that. People repeatedly hire me because I understand the assignment. But what I believe in always comes with me through the door. So where you are right now, win or lose the final title, is so important. You're already really talented students. We know this. You've shown us. And the sting of losing or the triumph of winning doesn't do anything about what you've already shown us about yourselves. You're people who show up. You're people who raise your hand and volunteer to do something so many find scary, including myself. I didn't bring my poetry here. I did not even think about reciting any of that. You did the work, knowing just from the numbers alone, you're much more likely not to win than win. You care about art in a world that will continue over and over to tell you it doesn't matter. And that's really impressive. You are who we need going forward. We can't know, and neither can you, where you'll end up. Your plans will be planned and fall apart and come together into something even better than the original plan and fall apart again. But I can guarantee you from your efforts to get to this stage, you're on the right path. What you care about will follow you wherever you go. And we're so, so proud of you for this step and all the next ones to come. Good cheese.
Gwyneth Cheesh, Vera. She always makes me cry. Okay, shall we do this thing? The finals. Let's give a round of applause to everyone one more time. Okay, so we're going to go in recitation order for the three finalists, and then after that, while the judges deliberate, we'll hear the third poem from the rest of our state finalists as well, okay? So, we're going to start with Yasminka Yakchich.
Susan B. Anthony by Catherine Rolston Fisher. Her life is a luminous banner, born ever ahead of her era, in lead of the forces of freedom, where wrongs for justice call. High-hearted, far-sighted, she pressed with noble, intrepid impatience. One race and the half of another, to liberate from thrall. If now in its freedom her spirit mingle with ours, and find us toiling at dusk to finish the task of her long day, on ground hard held to the last, gaining her goal for women. If for her word we hearken, may we not hear her say, comrades and daughters exultant, let my goal for you be a milestone. Too late have you wanted to linger, victory flies ahead. The women march millions abreast on a widening way to freedom. Trails there are still for women, fearless to break and tread. Keep watch on power as it passes, on liberty's torch as it travels, lest women be left with a symbol, no flame in her lamp alive. In the mine, the mill, and the mart, where is bartered the bread of your children, is forged the power you strove for which you still must strive. Her spirit, like southern starlight, at once is afar and around us. Her message an inward singing, through all our life to run. Forward together, my daughters, till born of your faith with each other, and of brotherhood all the world over. For all is freedom won. Thank you.
So again, while the judges tally there for a moment, I want to give special thanks to all the parents and families of our state Poetry Out Loud finalists and all the Alaska State Poetry Out Loud liaisons for 2026, with recognition of the coordinators at the schools represented in the Alaska Regional and State Finals: Suzanne Bishop of Homer, Matt Grossman of Port Allsworth, Tim Shumway of Petersburg, Angela Noon of Juneau, Stephanie Forrester, and Adam McKay of Anchorage, and all the teachers who supported Alaska Poetry Out Loud participants this year. Let's give it up for the teachers. Okay, and now our second finalist from Juneau Douglas High School, Yada'a Kathle, Cassie Lumba.
O Me, O Life by Walt Whitman. O me, O life. Of the questions of these recurring, of the endless trains of the faithless, of cities filled with the foolish, of myself forever reproaching myself. For who more foolish than I, and who more faithless? Of eyes that vainly crave the light, of the objects mean, of the struggle ever renewed, of the poor results of all, of the plodding and sordid crowds I see around me, of the empty and useless years of the rest, with the rest me intertwined, the question, oh me, so sad, recurring. What good amid these, oh me, oh life? Answer, that you are here, that life exists and identity, that the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse. Thank you.
I forgot to mention that Yasminka was from West Anchorage High School, so I just wanted to correct that, representing West High. The questions that they ask of the students, what kind of poem would you be? What would you wish for the world? Last year, I think I said sonnet, but this year, I think it's free verse, because, for me, to my favorite, because of we can be anything we want to be, right? We can be anybody we want to be. The dreams are attainable, and you just have to keep going. And if I was to write a poem that the rest of the world would read, it would be something about listening to the youth, because I think they see the future sometimes better than we do. I also think you need to listen to your elders as well, though, because they both can share stories. All right, our final finalist from Juneau Douglas Yada Akathle, Lumi Furman.
I Shall Return by Claude McKay. I shall return again. I shall return to laugh and love and watch with wonder eyes at golden noon the forest fires burn, wafting their blue-black smoke to sapphire skies. I shall return to loiter by the streams that flow. Prompt. That bathe the brown blades of the bending grasses. And realize once more my 1,000 dreams of waters rushing down the mountain passes. I shall return. To hear the fiddle and fife of village dances, dear delicious tunes that stir the hidden depths of native life, stray melodies of dim remembered runes. I shall return. I shall return again to ease my mind of long, long years of pain. Thank you.
Okay, let's give it up one more time for our finalists. And now we'll hear the third poem from the other students here. We're going to start in order of recitation. We're going to go, it's Meta Miller of Petersburg High School.
Home, Sweet Home by Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. Sharers of a common country, they had met in deadly strife. Men who should have been as brothers madly sought each other's life. In the silence of the even, when the cannon's lips were dumb, thoughts of home and all its loved ones to the soldier's heart would come. On the margin of a river, mid the evening's dews and damps, could be heard the sounds of music rising from two hostile camps. One was singing of its section down in Dixie's land, and the other of the banner waved too long from strand to strand. In the lawn where Dixie's ensign floated o'er the hopeful slave, rose the song that freedom's banner, starry-lighted, long might wave. From the fields of strife and carnage, gentle thoughts began to roam, and a tender strain of music rose with words of home, sweet home. Then the hearts of strong men melted, for mid our grief and sin still remains that touch of nature, telling us we all are kin. In one grand but gentle chorus, floating to the starry dome,
came the words that brought them nearer, words that told of home, sweet home. Prompt. For a while, all strife forgotten, they were only brothers then, joining in the sweet old chorus, not as soldiers, but as men, men whose hearts would flow together, though apart their feet might roam, found a tie they could not sever in the memory of each home. Never may the steps of carnage shake our lands from shore to shore, but may mother, home, and heaven be our watchwords evermore. Thank you.
Jocelyn Ottinger of Tulanian School in Port Allsworth.
An Autumn Sunset by Edith Wharton. 1. Leaguered in fire, the wild black promontories of the coast extend their savage silhouettes, the sun in universal carnage sets. And halting higher, the motionless storm clouds mask their sullen threats. Like an advancing mob in sword points penned, that bulk yet stands at bay, mid-zenith hangs the fascinated day. In wind-lustrated hollows crystalline, a wan Valkyrie whose wide pinions shine across the ensanguined ruins of the fray. And in her hand swings higher ahead, above the waster of war, the silver torchlight of the evening star, wherewith to search the faces of the dead. 2. Lagooned in gold. Seem not those jetty promontories rather the outposts of some ancient land forlorn, uncomforted of morn, where old oblivions gather, the melancholy, unconsoling fold of all things that go utterly to death and mix no more with life's perpetually awakening breath. Shall time not ferry me to such a shore, over such sailless seas, to walk with hope-slain importunities in miserable marriage? Nay, shall not all things be there forgot, save the sea's golden barrier and the black, close-crouching promontories? Dead to all shames, forgotten of all glories, shall I not wander there, a shadow's shade, a spectre self-destroyed, so purged of all remembrance and sucked back into the primal void, that should we on the shore phantasmal meet, I should not know the coming of your feet.
Freya Tucker of Petersburg High School.
Songs for the People by Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. Let me make the songs for the people, songs for the old and young, songs to stir like a battle cry wherever they are sung. Not for the clashing of sabers, for carnage, nor for strife, but songs to thrill the hearts of men with more abundant life. Let me make the songs for the weary, amid life's fever and fret, till hearts shall relax their tension and careworn brows forget. Let me sing for little children before their footsteps stray, sweet anthems of love and duty to float o'er life's highway. I would sing for the poor and aged when shadows dim their sight, of the bright and restful mansions where there shall be no night. Our world, so worn and weary, needs music, pure and strong, to hush the jangle and discords of sorrow, pain, and wrong. Music to soothe all its sorrow till war and crime shall cease, and the hearts of men grown tender girdle the world with peace. Thank you.
Kiri Tuttle of IDEA Homeschool in Anchorage.
The Battle Hymn of the Republic by Julia Ward Howe. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He hath loosed the fatal lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. I have seen him in the watchfires of 100 circling camps. They have builded him an altar in the evening dews and damps. I can read his righteous sentence by the dim and flaring lamps. His day is marching on. I have read a fiery gospel writ in burnished rows of steel. As ye deal with my contemners, so with you my grace shall deal. Let the hero born of woman crush the serpent with his heel, since God is marching on. He has sounded forth the trumpet that shall never call retreat. He is sifting out the hearts of men before his judgment seat. Oh, be swift, my soul, to answer him. Be jubilant, my feet. Our God is marching on. In the beauty of the lilies, Christ was born across the sea, with a glory in his bosom that transfigures you and me. As he died to make men holy, let us die to make men free, while God is marching on. Thank you.
Robert Wilson of Homer High School.
The Conqueror Worm by Edgar Allan Poe. Lo, 'tis a gala night within the lonesome latter years. An angel throng, bewinged, bedight in veils and drowned in tears. Sit in a theatre to see a play of hopes and fears, while the orchestra breathes fitfully the music of the spheres. Mimes in the form of God on high mutter and mumble low, and hither and thither fly. Mere puppets they who come and go at the bidding of vast formless things that shift the scenery to and fro, flapping from out their condor wings invisible woe. That motley drama, oh be sure, it shall not be forgot, with its phantom chased forevermore by a crowd that sees it not, through its circle that ever returneth in to the self-same spot, and much of madness, and more of sin, and horror the soul of the plot. But see, amid the mimic rout, a crawling shape intrude, a blood-red thing that writhes from out the scenic solitude. It writhes with mortal pangs. The mimes become its food. And seraph sob had vermin fangs, in human gore imbued. Out to the lights, out all, and over each quivering form, the curtain, a funeral pall, comes down with the rush of a storm, while the angels, all pallid and wan, uprising, unveiling, affirm that the play is the tragedy, man, and its hero, the conqueror worm.
And our final recitation, Grace Yang of West Anchorage High School.
Let the Light Enter by Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. The dying words of Goethe. Light, more light, the shadows deepen, and my life is ebbing low. Throw the windows widely open, light, more light before I go. Softly, let the balmy sunshine play around my dying bed. Ere the dimly lighted valley I with lonely feet must tread. Light, more light, for death is weaving shadows round my waning sight. And I fain would gaze upon him through a stream of earthly light. Not for greater gifts of genius, not for thoughts more grandly bright. All the dying poet whispers is a prayer for light, more light. Heeds he not the gathered laurels fading slowly from his sight? All the poet's aspirations center in that prayer for light. Gracious Savior, when life's daydreams melt and vanish from the sight, may our dim and longing vision then be blessed with light. More light. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Let's give all of the competitors a round of applause. Are we bringing them up here, right? Don't we bring all of them up here?
Yes, we are going to invite them up one at a time.
One at a time. So is that going to be, who's coming up here to give them their certificates? Maggie and Summer. Come on up, Maggie and Summer. Maggie McMillan and Summer Christensen. Yeah, give them a round of applause. Okay, take it away. Do you want me to announce each name? Yeah, sure. Okay. That's all right. So, our first participant, Yasminka Yakshic. Yeah, and then come over here. Cassie Lumba of Juneau Douglas High School, Yada Kavle. Meta Miller of Petersburg High School. Jocelyn Ottinger of Tenalian School in Port Ellsworth. Freya Tucker of Petersburg High School. Excellent. Kiri Tuttle of IDEA Homeschool in Anchorage. Robert Wilson of Homer High School. Yeah, Grace Yang of West Anchorage High School. And Lumi Furman of Juneau Douglas High School, Yada Kafle. Now, let me just say this. This is not easy what these students do. So when we give this round of applause, I want it to be the loudest of the night for all of these contestants one more time. Okay, so now for the final business at hand, for an opportunity to go and represent Alaska in the national finals for Poetry Out Loud. First, I'll announce the runner-up. Let me see, I gotta do this. The runner-up is Yasminka Yakshich. I think you just take a bow, take a bow. Nice. Of West Anchorage High School. I keep forgetting to say that. Okay, and so our winner of the 2026 Poetry Out Loud State Finals is Cassie Lumba! Yay, Cassie! So Cassie will have the opportunity to go to the national conference. She also gets a little bit of money for her school and also that kind of stuff, right? There's some things in there, a little bit of cash reward, so that's excellent. Congratulations, Cassie. And to all the finalists, one more time, everybody. Thank you for coming. That wraps up our Alaska Poetry State Competition for 2026. Cheese from Aquan. We can all wave goodbye. Bye. We stay here until we tell us we're done. Keep waving like they do.
This broadcast of the 2026 Alaska State Poetry Out Loud Recitation Competition is supported in part by a grant from the Alaska State Council on the Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts, with additional support from the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council.